Welcome to the Laughing Tavern. Today is the last day of Dragon Week 2025. As we have all week, we just want to thank Ginny D and Pointy Hat for putting this all together. I know we enjoyed creating content for this event, and we hope you not only enjoyed our videos, but all the videos from all the creators involved. Picking up from yesterday's DMs and Dragons at the Tavern, we continue to sip on Quest End's Dragon Whiskey, which is amazing. You should definitely check out everything Fine Familiar Spirits has to offer, including a line of tequilas, link in the description. Today, Beau and I will be talking about the dragons we created for this event, and links will be in the description for you to get copies of these beasts. We each made dragons. You want me to start with mine?
By all means. I think you put a little more thought into yours than I did.
No, you put a lot of thought in yours. It's just, sorry, I got to bust out the glasses here. I got to read. So, I created...
Old age is a handicap.
Yes, it is.
No, we can't say that on YouTube. We have. Do we have a geriatric audience yet? Is that?
I don't know. I am. So yes.
You're not the audience, are you?
I watch.
Well,
I do watch my videos, and yes, I hate to say I do give my own videos thumbs up, but it's not from our company account; it's from my own personal account.
It's okay to like yourself.
Yeah, I like myself a lot. So basically, I wanted to create a dragon that combined thunder and lightning. I haven't seen too many thunder-based dragons. You see the lightning and fire and ice. I'm not sure what Fizzbans has brought forward.
Are the gym dragons a thing in 2024 still?
Yeah, gym dragons are still there because they were Fizzbans. So
off rip, I think it was the Topaz that did the thunder.
Was it thunder? Okay,
I might be wrong.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, please tell us we're wrong. But so I combined lightning and thunder into one dragon. Now, instead of just going with a purple dragon, which, no, not that purple dragon, but like a deep purple, I actually named my dragon. My dragon has lived in my world for 500, 600, 700 years, terrorizing oh, sorry, I got to remember what, I got to remember my map.
This is where the editing skills are going to come in handy, I think.
Maybe the Rigid Spire Peaks, I believe is what they're called.
Now coming from Rigid Spire Peaks.
Rigid Spire Peaks. Ridge Spire Range. Yes, Ridge Spire Range. I know my own world, I swear. Basically, they live in storm clouds and create storms. Massive thunder, lightning storms. So, mine is called Thralathar the Stormbringer.
Thrabathar?
Thralathar. And I'll put this up on the screen. It should be right over here somewhere. Maybe blocking Beau's face just for the time being.
I mean, our ratings could only go up, really.
Thralathar the Stormbringer. Huge dragon. Chaotic evil. AC 19, not too bad. Decent hit points. 256. 19d12 plus 133. He's got climbing speed. He's got flying speed, of course. Massive strength. Massive con, 26 con, 23 strength. Decent saves. Like I said, all this should be up over here if I'm doing my editing right. Immunities, only lightning and thunder, of course. He deals lightning and thunder damage. He is a CR15 creature. Any questions up to this point? If you want to know anything more before we get into the...
I'm interested to know why such a middling CR, really. Because when I think dragon, and when I'm sure most people think dragon nowadays, they think big, monstrous,
right,
sort of end of world thing, which is what I built. But I'm very interested, like the thought process behind making this mid-game boss versus end-game boss.
Where I started with the adult blue dragon, which I believe is a CR or a red dragon too. I think they're both CR16s. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're right in this range. So this is it was designed to be that level 8 to 12 mid-game boss, the one that's terrorizing, the neighboring city or, a mountain village where they end up having to go on a quest, but it's a bigger issue now because of this dragon. It's a known dragon too, so it could be a well-known bounty.
Okay.
But I didn't want to do the end game dragon because I have one end game dragon in my head, but it's going to be for your campaign, and I'm not about to spoil it here on YouTube. At least not until they get to it. So I wanted to step down from doing the gargantuan dragon, but you're taking care of that. So we're covering the adult and the ancients.
Okay. So with this being a bit different from a regular blue dragon, is there any differentiation between, say, like what this dragon would hoard?
I would assume this one is more. It hoards fear. It hoards power. It likes the power it wields over now it still has a dragon's hoard, all dragons, but it doesn't focus on one thing. It's more about the terror it brings to the villages that fall within its range.
Okay, so
servitude kind of deal.
So the dragon does have a physical hoard in, say, gold and coin, but only in that he uses that to bring, or it uses that to bring fear out of its populace.
Yeah, it makes them
demanding a tribute is a fear tactic.
Yes.
Okay.
Tribute, control, all that kind of stuff. So, being an adult dragon, it does have legendary resistances. It has some cool traits. Stormy presence. Creatures within 30 feet of the dragon have disadvantage on saving throws against lightning and thunder effects, which it does lightning and thunder. So, right there's that's gonna suck if you're in melee with this dragon. Creatures that start their turn within 30 feet of Stormbringer take 1d10 lightning damage automatically because this beast is crackling with lightning energy. Its wings cause thunder just by flapping. So it is a living embodiment of the storm.
Now, wouldn't a damaging aura be a little much for a mid-range boss? What would you say the damage was?
1d10.
1d10? Okay, that's not terrible.
No, it's just if you start your turn within 30 feet. So
right,
it's not going to bother your casters.
Right. Because I was having this conversation with somebody else earlier about how about how an aura should only be. So the thought was that an aura should be damaging.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah,
today.
We're gonna get there.
108 proof whiskey.
The idea
we're not even through our first one yet.
The idea is that if the aura is damaging, then it would be. Then obviously you do half damage on the miss or on a failed save.
Gotcha.
Right? But more interestingly, why not add an effect to that?
Very
because,
true. It does get the disadvantage on saving throws against its core damaging lightning and thunder.
Okay.
Plus 1d10 damage, yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of things are saves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a disadvantage against that, plus you took a d10 lightning damage, and it's about to hit you with an effect that you have disadvantage on.
Now, is that constant, or can the
if you're within 30 feet,
it just okay?
It is a tempest, and that will come into play later.
Okay,
it is a tempest, so it's just crackling energy, and it's massive.
All right,
not as big as yours, but it's big.
Sure.
Now, if the CR needs to be adjusted a little bit, cool.
Can we do That's What She Said jokes on YouTube?
No, probably not too much.
They have a rating system for these things, right? No, it'll be fine.
I don't like the CR system. I haven't messed with the 2024 system yet. So if this CR needs to be higher, if you look at the stat block, let me know. I'm more than happy to adjust it if it needs to go up. It also has a lightning affinity. Whenever the dragon is struck by lightning damage, it regains hit points equal to half the lightning damage dealt. So if, there are lightning effects that the layer itself does. So
okay, there it is.
Healing
I was just about to ask.
So there is that. Let's see. Typical dragon, multi-attack, bite, claws, tail. Each one for this one starts out at a plus 11 to hit. Reaches are different. Damage is a d10 piercing plus lightning damage, 2d6 slashing for thunder for the claws, and 2d8 plus a d10 thunder for the tail. Mm-hmm. So anytime it hits you, it is hitting you with lightning and thunder. It has a recharge ability, Unleash Storm. It recharges on a 5 or a 6. Dex save 21.
Mm-hmm.
Each creature in a 60-foot line Failure is 8d6 lightning damage, so there's where your disadvantage comes into play.
Got it. Okay.
And 22 thunder damage, which I need to fix that on the sheet. And of course, success is half damage. So
we got a thumbs up.
Don't mind me. Oh, did a thumbs up come up on the screen again?
Yeah.
Oh man,
keep doing the thing.
Yeah, it's not. It happens sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time. So I can't predict what motion sets that off.
He needs to make up his mind.
It has charisma spellcasting. It's a DC 18 plus an 11 to hit for spell attacks, but it does Thunder Wave and Lightning. Lightning Bolt can do 2 times a day. Thunder Wave is at will. So basically, it's a limited spellcaster. Its lair does a lot of the surrounding lightning damage and thunder damage.
Okay.
It gets legendary actions. It can do a tail strike, of course, and then it has thunderous roar. Dragon lets out a deafening roar. All creatures within 60 feet of it that hear must succeed on a DC 18 con save. So again, that is at disadvantage, or take 2d10 thunder damage and they're deafened until their next turn. Or have as much as a successful save and not deafened. Dragon cannot take that action again until the start of his next turn. So that's a once around thing.
Now, did something change about deafened in 2025?
No.
Okay.
It's just they can't hear their other party members. If the party members cast a spell that requires somebody to hear, now they're deafened.
Okay.
Kind of deal. Lightning surge. A surge of lightning erupts from a dragon. All creatures within 30 feet must make a DC 18 dex save, taking 8d6 lightning damage. And that dragon can't take that one until the start of its next turn again. And then we go into the description. They're deep purple, crackling energy. I also include some information about the lair, its location, Stormbringer's lair. It is known as the Tempest. The Tempest is an area of the Richfire Range known for perpetual thunderstorms. Then there's the Stormbringer's Gate, which is the entrance to the cavern, and then there's Stormbringer's Cavern itself. All of this is filled with lightning effects. There's also lightning elementals that will guard throughout this cavern.
All right.
So you take like an arrow elemental, but add lightning effects to it.
Now, you did mention lightning and thunder, but so far I've heard a lot of lightning.
The thunder isn't. The thunder's more that voice. The thunder is one of its the claws, I believe, do thunder damage.
Okay.
And so does the tail.
Okay. Well.
And this is just something I whipped up in a day. So.
Yeah, we did kind of.
We didn't know about Dragon Week until last Friday.
Yeah, so this is not rushed or anything. Yeah.
But I do plan on maybe tweaking this more and more, hopefully, especially if I get him to the table against you guys at some point.
Sure. Wow.
Now,
I look forward to fighting it though. With it having a name, does it have a reputation like in human form? Alternative, like
this one,
like does it deal with politics? Like
no, this one is more about taking advantage of the remote region where it lives and controlling that region.
Okay.
But politics, you can easily put a backstory in there. You can absolutely the storms remain because of its lair, and it goes out and takes part in the world. And if you watch my DM tips video from the other day for Dragon Week, I talked about bringing them into the world, using shapeshifter abilities and making them human, making them humanoid, giving out quests, and that's absolutely something this guy probably would do.
Yeah.
So,
makes sense.
Yeah, not perfect, not great. I mean, I think it'd be fun to run.
Sure.
Especially the lightning and thunder is not usually resisted by party members.
Yeah.
So, and that does a lot of damage, and it can add up quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a paladin with no resistance to thunder, no resistance to lightning, taking 3 attacks, and the +11 actually getting through paladin's AC to wreck a paladin relatively
It's not
quick.
something I see a lot of my players take either. Like nobody goes out of their way to be thunder resistant or lightning resistant.
Lightning resistant would be the only one you'd think of because of the blue dragon. You would never think of using thunder.
And even then, you wouldn't think about it because
it's rare.
You'd have to know in advance that the campaign was built around a blue dragon.
Right.
So,
what? So, link down in the description. You can get it for yourself. Let me know your comments, please. Let me know improvements. Let me know what changes you make, and I'll gladly take them under advisement and roll out updates and new versions. So, Beau. So is this the same dragon that we faced in your campaign, modified because we messed the hell out of it? Or is this something new?
Well, I'd have to say it's a little bit of both, really.
Okay.
In that this, the theme here was taken from the original dragon, whereas the original dragon was something I sort of slapdashed together for the sake of that one shot that got way out of hand. So, with that in mind, and seeing, you guys trounce that, and just sort of taking that concept a little bit further.
Well, can I say something really quick?
Sure.
We didn't really trounce it. I was a rogue who had a necklace of fireballs with 8 charges. I stealthed up on the dragon and dropped it on myself and walked out of there when the dragon was on fire. Mm-hmm. Which made it much easier to trounce.
Did. But taking the alcohol theme and sort of cleaning it up, I came up with the Zymergic dragon.
Quick, for the people at home, what is Zymergy?
So
Zymergy?
Zymergy. That's how Google said to pronounce it. So Zymergy is the science of fermentation. Mostly, I believe, specifically to do with beer, wine, anything alcoholic, really.
Cheers to Zymergy.
Yay. And it just seemed to have and taking it from the concept of an entire science and sort of translating that into a dragon, taking an entire natural process like fermentation and I'm gonna get it.
Fermentation.
I'm gonna get it. Taking an entire natural concept like fermentation and translating it into a dragon is where I ended up, which is how we got this gargantuan neutral dragon, because it doesn't really seek out treasure or anything like that. It's more of it's just an existence.
And it's not metallic or chromatic either, right? It's the weird left area.
It's sort of it's plant-based. So think of an old wizened dragon with moss as a beard, twisting horns of ivy, and
a shambling mountain if it was scarier and much more dangerous than already.
Much. And I ended up having a lot of fun with this. The lore, or one of the little legendary origin I have, says one of the 5 flavors, the ancient fermentation dragon, is one of the 5 flavors that brought the world into being. What's that mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's take a quick little thing. And a little bit about the food verse is what we've been calling the game Matt's been running for us for many years now.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have to get that context.
Yes. So in Matt's world, there is a new plane that was existed based upon our actions in Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
That was the one shot mentioned earlier. They
yes.
Way
So
we
it's
left the module, guys.
The module is done. So the foodverse exists. Everything is food based, and this one is the alcohol fermentation piece of the 5 flavors.
You know what? The funny thing is, I just wrote that as a note, which is what it was kind of getting to. I had no intention of putting this in the actual game.
Well, it has to be now.
But the 5 flavors was not a thing.
Well, now
it's something that sort of batted back and forth with a friend of ours. And it was just one of those lore notes that actually stuck during the creation process. Take notes on your notes when you're making monsters, guys. You never know. You might find an interesting piece of lore.
I do like the idea of the 5 flavors being like an origin story of the foodverse. That is definitely something I would love for you to explore more.
We'll have to go into more detail about it. I think. Why don't we do? Why don't we do a little excerpt on it next DMs at the Tavern when we're not like
that we can
scrambling for thematic content.
That's true.
Getting back
onto the Dragon Week. Back to the dragon.
I made this dragon with fermentation in mind, with it being a slow process, with it having to be the perfect balance of the right weather. Which in my mind translated to a little less strong and dexterous, whereas most dragons are predators. The Zymergic dragon very much is not. The Zymergic dragon knows is going to get you eventually.
I saw the stat block initially when I was putting it into the format, and I was like, a 20 for a gargantuan dragon in strength? But then I looked down and I saw some other stats and went, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I leaned into druid spellcasting for this one a bit as well. Mostly because I went through this entire process panicking, thinking I was trying to build this, just a dragon, and the whole time the spreadsheet is getting longer and longer and longer, and there's a point where I'm questioning myself: Am I building a 5e creature, or is this some kind of MMO raid boss? So I did have it looked around. I did have it looked at. You looked at it, and another friend of ours proofread it as well. Though that said, it came out well. The reason I keep it, one of the reasons, since it's so caster focused, especially wisdom focused, I gave it an ability to spawn golems made of fermented fruit off of the fruit that would fall out of its wings,
which is a great idea. We may have to come up with harvesting notes for those, because people will ask, how do you harvest a fermented fruit golem for some kind of alcohol stuff?
Oh, I'm sure. I'll be happy to answer any questions you put down in the comments. I'm sure Rich would as well. So, that being what it is, with such a high wisdom and charisma for this dragon, I gave it basically meat shields in the form of these golems. Now, the golems and the dragon, I took special care to make sure that they worked together. So, while in
sunlight.
So, while in sunlight, the dragon, direct sunlight. Now, I do have to stress that it has to be direct sunlight, uninterfered, like
no shade,
no cloud cover. It's got to be direct sunlight. It automatically heals 25 hit points at the start of its turn. Taking that, as well as it has an ability to eat any golem or eat one golem as a bonus action to restore an additional 30 hit points. Now, the reason I ended up doing it this way was because I kind of wanted to give the players a bit of a hint as to, A, what this thing does, and B, that these two abilities together, when functioning, are a problem.
And the golems can be summoned on a recharge ability.
Yes, and the golems are recharge 6. It's 1d4 golems, so I think the randomness helps keep that in check from being too OP.
Yes.
So I really wanted the players to think about how they were going to beat this monster rather than just group up and hit it till it dies. The golems themselves get a bonus from being in the dragon's aura as well. They get advantage on any strength checks and saving throws that they're in, and their explosion ability, when they hit 0 hit points, deals an extra d6 poison damage, I believe, or was it bludgeoning?
Bludgeoning.
Yeah.
So we won't have to come up with harvesting abilities.
No,
because they explode in a shower of fruit. Of fermented.
I'm not. That really makes me think. I'm not sure.
Was it bludgeoning?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we changed it to bludgeoning last minute.
I think it was bludgeoning and poison. Bludgeoning and.
Oh, That is another thing. I noticed that we doubled down on the status on we doubled down on the damage types, whereas you went like an actual elemental damage type. I doubled down in this dragon with poison and the poison and the charm condition.
Yes.
Again, it's the same thing. I do, while this is supposed to be an in-game boss, you want your players, or at least I do, want my players to see a strategy there.
Dwarves.
Dwarves.
Dwarves and elves.
Yeah. A party of dwarves split 50-50 with dwarves and elves would probably kick wholesale ass out of this thing. So, and the reason I leaned into those two in particular, was that I wanted it to be a problem for high level players. And initially I thought I was just going to have it work as the confuse spell on top of the poison condition, but nobody likes their player agency being taken away.
There is that.
We can argue about that on another bit, but I, in this case, backed off of that.
I've been hit by confusion too many times as a player, and I've sat there for an entire combat doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, absolutely. It's a great thing to do, but as a player, I came here to play, not saying roll a d6 every turn and do nothing.
So I like to think that I struck a balance with this, or at least in my mind. We'll have to play test this at some point.
Talk about the spell list too.
Yes. So I leaned into the druid spell list for this one. It gets at will Druidcraft Thorn Whip, produce flame, and cure wounds, which it will absolutely use on the golems. I also gave it Entangle, Flaming Sphere, Moonbeam. I focused on area of control spells for this dragon. I wanted it to, while the golems themselves aren't much, I believe they're CR 5 to 7, something like that.
It is in there. Golems are included in the stat block.
Yes, we did include the golems in stat. What was I saying?
The control.
Oh, right.
Aura, Vitality, Blight, Mass Cure Wounds.
Yeah. I wanted the dragon to even the playing field for these low CR golems.
They're worth more to it than healing itself.
Mm-hmm.
If it keeps a golem alive to eat.
It is. And I believe... Oh, and of course, we have to talk about its breath weapon.
Yes.
I gave it a Fermenting Breath. It's a Constitution saving throw of 21. Each creature in a 90-foot cone.
90-foot cone. That is massive.
It is. It's huge.
That is the battlefield.
Mostly. Which is why we keep the DC towards the middle. So at 21 for those level of characters, I believe you should be getting that.
That should be relatively easy.
That should be a 12 to 13 on the die. I think.
If that, yeah. It's 50-50
at least. So, and again, that went to balancing out some of these effects. So a 90-foot cone, like you said, is pretty much the field.
It's the field.
So anything caught in this takes an average of 63 poison damage, 18d6 for you dice goblins out there. Poison damage and are confused for a minute. The breath weapon did keep the confusion effect.
Makes sense.
Did keep the confusion spell.
They can end it every...
And
they can
you
try
get
every time.
Which, again, in return, you get a save at the end of each thing. So what this thing will do to open an encounter is breathe all over the party, drop its golems, and then set itself up.
Yep. There was also another feature you put in here. I believe it's on the front page here. The Wall of Wine.
Oh, yeah.
This was amazing, and I was reading it, and it wasn't mentioned in your tactics section, but I believe that once they know the battle's going to happen, this may be the first thing that gets dropped right through the adventuring party.
See, I was thinking it'd be used the first time a significant portion of the party got close.
Well,
I would
because it can
imagine.
do it at any point it can see, and it can move it 50 foot every turn. So you're
Um,
basically moving it anywhere in the battlefield almost.
yeah. So I admit I cheated a little bit for this one. It's sort of just a reflavored tidal wave.
No, it is amazing.
Or
And it's
tsunami. It's not tidal wave.
tsunami.
Tsunami.
Yeah, that's where you got it from.
Somebody's
Okay.
gonna come for my kneecap.
It's tsunami.
So I gave it its own flavored version of tsunami. Where I think the only thing different I really did for it is change some of the damage types to poison and let it inflict the poison and charm condition to anything that was in it. I'd like to say building these things is hard for me.
You do really well with homebrewing your own monsters.
Yeah.
Everything you've thrown at us in the food verse has been amazing.
I think since the first
Sometimes
time I
we steamroll it, but yeah.
Like since I killed Chris with the Rimaz Hydra thing.
Yeah, the Rimaz Hydra. That's a discussion for another DM stick.
That's something else we can talk about when we start talking about our campaigns.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that might be our next one.
Probably.
We seem to be leaning into that right now. So maybe look forward to it. We'll discuss it when you're not looking.
Yes. I loved everything you came up with this. I love that it is a BBEG of a campaign or the near end game BBEG, like the Red Dragon you guys will be facing in my campaign.
Like ideally,
it's right there. It's for that high level 15, 16.
Ideally, I would like in my head, this was to be put forward as sort of a retirement thing. The player characters are 16, 17, 18th level, which good for you if you get that far.
Yeah.
But the idea I had in my head for this was that it's sort of this retirement thing. Your players have this hometown, they have this village, this base that they've been in. They're finally ready to start running. Maybe it's their own kingdom. It's definitely their own kingdom.
Yeah.
And their kingdom's just in the way of this sentient, semi-sentient force of nature.
It's just doing its thing.
Yeah.
It's doing what nature does. It's not evil. It's just...
Is.
It just is.
Incidentally,
just is.
Something that didn't make it to the notes, funnily enough, I think I may have cut it in the last version that I sent you, but this thing doesn't go down. Like, it doesn't stay down permanently.
No, that's not in this version.
No. If you pop it, it'll reform X amount of... I believe I didn't finish the mechanic either.
Oh, so it kind of disappears one D100 years later.
Yeah,
it returns.
Like where its body falls, it crafts it makes a druid circle. Nice. It is then reborn in another part of the world 1D100 years later.
Interesting.
And it keeps going.
If you like that to be part of the version, let us know, and Matt can figure it out, and we can add it in version 2.0 of our docs.
We're definitely going to be visiting our old stuff again and cleaning it up once we get better at it.
Yeah, I've got to fix typos, but you guys will get good versions. You can take them, run with them, change them. Let us know how you change them too. I'm not saying we know what we're doing.
We don't.
So please,
we take constructive criticism.
If you do something better, nothing is criticism to us. It's just ways to become better.
Did you happen to mention what'd you call him? Thromnebular?
Thralathar.
Thralathar.
Just rolls right off the tongue. Thralathar.
Anyway, I don't remember you talking about the legendary actions. Did you give him anything specific?
I talked about the 3. He can't. He does a tail strike.
Okay.
And then he does the. Let me see here. The thunderous roar, where the party members can become deafened, and then the lightning surge.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Mine went a little closer to basic for legendary actions. We gave it a basic claw attack. Initially, I wanted Wall of Wine to be a 2-charge legendary action, but after what I decided to do with it, I think once is enough.
Plus, they changed how legendary actions work now in 2024. There is a one, every, as many up to 3 times around, or it's once around. That's it. They got rid of the 1 action, 2 action, 3 action now.
That's dumb.
No, it's.
Like, I get
it. It's
it,
less
but
management.
like,
It's.
how do I say that? It's more old man complaining on my part. It's like, it used to be this way, damn it. Why isn't it this way anymore? Well,
I didn't know they changed it until I read the monster manual, the monster stats for the adult dragons. I was like, wait a minute, they got rid of the 1, 2, 3.
yeah. So originally I wanted it to be Wall of Wine, but I think once a day is more than enough for that.
And it lasts until it gets.
It lasts for a minute, and it's a lot of turmoil
or
going
until
on.
its speed reduced to 0 because you've moved it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a legendary action called Fermented Wind, which is sort of an auxiliary breath weapon. This being a
we both gave breath weapons, basically.
Yeah. This being a I'm sorry, not really a breath weapon, much as an what do they call it now? It's not a radius, an emanation.
Emanation.
So much as a 20-foot emanation. DC 20 Constitution saving throw, and it just sort of knocks everyone in the area prone, which sucks. It's you underestimate prone,
especially if and we'll
everyone
talk about
underestimates prone.
Especially when we talk about this in a minute about some minions we just discussed while we were waiting to do this.
Yes.
So we'll talk about so prone can be bad for all you new DMs out there. Prone is a good way to quickly end a player.
Abuse prone. Nobody thinks about it. I've been doing this for a decade plus now, and I'd never think of prone as a threat or anything, like as a DM or as a player.
Especially with intelligent creatures.
Like prone is just not what comes to my brain.
Or creatures, it's there for some beast will knock you prone and then eat you. But intelligent creatures, if you're down, they're going to keep coming after you.
Oh, yeah.
So prone, especially in this case, is going to be very dangerous.
And then lastly, it gets to command a golem as a legendary action. So, and like I said, that's pretty basic.
The golem can attack or move.
Of course.
So, really quick, minions.
The minions.
We talked about an interesting way for minions for this creature. You have your golems that it summons, but druid kobolds in service to this dragon.
Absolutely.
Teaching, that's how it maintains its druid spells. And these kobolds have a couple of jobs to do. Healing word, when there are no golems because the breath weapon didn't recharge, it gives you healing word. It gives you minions to attack the players have to account for minions.
Of course. Doing it that way, I would imagine that I don't think the dragon's aware of the kobolds. I think the kobolds follow along with it.
They worship
it, and they get their druidic abilities from the dragon. Therefore, it's all sort of spore, and it's a clan of spore druids.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
And honestly, if you want to do spore druids,
No,
are spore druids still a thing in 2025?
They're legacy.
They're legacy now. Okay, never mind then.
But druidic kobolds fit with kobolds serving a dragon,
of course. And like you said, they just one hit point minions that do full damage and slap healing word every so often.
Get drunk off of the golems that explode.
Of course. So, and I think I may do something for that as well. I may throw up a little something for the kobolds.
Yeah.
Because I really do like that idea.
Quick little spell list, a quick little. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Like I said, we discussed its tactics. For the most part, it's just going to lay down its breath weapon, summon its minions, and sit in the back row.
Yeah.
Or continue on doing whatever it's doing.
And you included a lot of lore with yours and some.
I did. I included some lore. I included some descriptive notes.
Right. Everything that helps you as a DM run the dragon better.
And that's just for me. This is a visualization. Using tools like Grammarly for these things have been indispensable. Because I am not in any way, shape, or form a writer. It's mostly just scrambled ideas that I try to make into a coherent thought. So, indispensable Grammarly. I'm telling you. Corrective tools are awesome.
But
I think that's about it for me.
Yeah, the fruit golems are kind of interesting.
We did do a little touch on the fruit golems. They're basically big old meat sticks that you want to put, that the dragon wants to put between it and whoever's annoying it at the moment. If
What?
you do role play the dragon, which I'm not sure if anybody would get the chance to, I lean it into a very lackadaisical sort of, I mean, it's gonna happen sort of
Like a
attitude.
laid back Big Lebowski
Like
as a
a
dragon.
Yeah, like a very laid back attitude with this force of
The
inevitability.
fermentation abides.
Yeah, you
Likes its rugs.
you can complain, but I mean, you
Well,
know,
and I think with that, I think we'll call it an end of Dragon Week.
well, thank Christ,
Yeah,
because
it's
or
been busy. This
whatever.
is the first one. We had to do
Tiamat,
catch up.
Bahamut,
Muhammad, Tiamat,
Tiamat.
whichever one you worship. And yeah, this has been a fun week though. I love taking part in this event. We did some actual plays, so go back and check those out of some dragon-based games: Skullduggery, Sorrow of the Seas, and Wrath of Rashardalan.
We're gonna dial it in next year.
Yeah, next year, Pointy Hat Ginny D.
We're gonna be listening.
We're going to be waiting for the information to drop on what the creature will be for next year's Monster Week.
He's watching you.
He's watching us. So, Beau, here's
Cheers.
to our first year.
Solid year.
Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Check out everybody else's content. And with that, we'll call it a night. Have a good day.
Later, nerds.